What is going on, my Guardian Gamers? It is I, Birdman, back with another Hunter build. Yes, you heard that right. I am doing another Hunter build as I'm getting these new exotics and everything, filling out my other characters, because you know me, I've just been a Titan gamer for most of my time in Destiny 2, so starting to get a bigger and better handle on my other two classes, so we decided to do this setup. Now, before I get into the everything you need to know, you can follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give a thumbs up on this video, comment something you're interested in seeing down below, and subscribe and become a member to the channel. Now, let's jump right on in. So like what we always like to do is check out the exotic that we're going to be using for this setup, and that is going to be the Caliban's Hand. These were introduced back in Season of the Haunted, and they read, roast 'em. Your proximity knife scorches targets, damages with its explosion, or ignites targets on final blow. After throwing a proximity knife, you gain increased melee regeneration until the knife explodes. Now, this is actually really solid for the fact that, again, it adds that scorch factor and the ignition to that proximity knife. I really do enjoy this because as I'm just like, kind of like chucking it and getting kills with the knife on its own, it is just blowing up everyone around them. You can constantly just keep them going and going, especially with a lot of the stuff within the subclass that you have. So definitely recommend snagging these. They're really, really great all around. Now, obviously, we're going to be using the solar subclass for this, and I definitely recommend using Blade Barrage instead of maybe something like Golden Gun in either way, one of its forms. One, because it has a shorter cooldown, but also for the fact that me personally, I just like really enjoy start and stop supers like this, where I can just kind of like click it and be done with it and start recharging for that next super. But also one of our aspects are going to kind of help juice this up a little bit, so we'll talk about that here in a second. For our abilities, I really recommend getting Gambler's Dodge instead of the Marksman's Dodge or the Acrobat's Dodge. Acrobat's great because it'll make you radiant and everything, but you're going to get radiant from something that we're already using in this setup. So use the Gambler's Dodge so you can constantly get your melee back if for some reason you miss a knife or something like that and you don't get that immediate recharge. This will be one to be great to use just so you can dodge away from an enemy and use that, and then start working on getting that dodge reloaded. Obviously, we're going to be using proximity explosive knife. You don't need to be using anything else. That's the one to use. When it comes to grenade, I really recommend thermite grenade, just purely off the fact it's going to scorch targets. That's going to feed into one of the fragments that we're using, and I just really like thermite grenade because it does a really good job of clearing out lots of enemies at once, and it lasts for a while. When it comes to the aspects we're going to be using for this setup, I recommend knock them down. Your solar supers are enhanced, and for Blade Barrage, it will launch more projectiles, but also while we're radiant, which we're going to be because of one of our fragments, final blows with your equipped throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. So this is really great for constantly just non-stop chucking these explosive knives that are going to scorch targets and then ignite them and cause giant explosions on the battlefield. And for the second, I always recommend on your mark, so that whenever you get those precision final blows, you and nearby allies get increased weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration, and it stacks 3 times. And then activating your class ability immediately grants maximum stacks of on your mark. So constantly use that Gambler's Dodge, get plenty of, first off, just melee energy, but also get those good stacks of just like increased handling and reload speed. You can go for gunpowder gamble if you want. I would say change it out for on your mark, but I just really don't like having to jump through hoops for more stuff. But this is one that would be, pretty decent with the, overall explosive build. Again, I just really don't want to have to deal with more stuff on top of what I'm already doing. For our fragments, I first recommend Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. That fire sprite is going to help feed into your grenade energy, so helps just kind of fill out this build a little bit more so that you have all of your abilities within use. But obviously, you're going to scorch targets, gets you that melee energy on the off chance that you don't get a kill with it, and you're able to get that knife back way faster. Ember of Solace would be next. Radiant or restoration effects applied to you have increased duration, so we want to be able to keep that radiant going as much as we can. What radiant reads is your weapons are enhanced by the power of the Traveler and deal increased damage to combatants, and then also while you're radiant, you are able to stun barrier champs. So this is just a really nice one to have all around, especially for master and legendary lost sectors throughout the week whenever you're going for certain exotics. Next will be Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. Actually, the weapon that we're going to be mainly using for this setup is going to do plenty of scorching for us, so that we're going to be able to get that back a whole lot faster. Again, use that so that if for some reason your proximity knife is lost, you're able to get it back instantly. Ember Torches is next. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. There you go. That's the radiant effect that we're gonna be having for this setup. So it's really nice to, just chuck a knife and then be radiant for about 10 plus seconds. And then finally, Ember of Blistering, defeating targets with solar ignitions grants grenade energy. We're gonna be constantly getting that because of this setup. So this is just really fun to use so that, again, it's filling out the build and making you better for your knife, your dodge, and also obviously your grenade. So the weapon I'd recommend using as like your kind of like, utility for this build would be the Prometheus lens. First off, its intrinsic trait reads Prismatic Inferno, fires a solar trace beam that creates a field of heat energy that grows as the weapon is fired. Sustained damage applies scorch target. So there you go, there's that scorch. We're gonna be constantly affecting with our weapon. I really like doing this, just like, scorch typically like a yellow bar is a really nice one to do it too, but even just like regular rank and file, scorch them real fast and just stand there and let that effect go at them so that you are able to get that gambler's dodge back a little bit faster if for some reason you were to lose it. But also the flame refraction trait, because of this weapon, return a fraction of the ammo used in the magazine from reserves. So this allows you just to shoot it a whole lot longer. And obviously the catalyst, if you get that, defeating a target spreads scorch to those nearby. More powerful commands and opposing guardians cause scorch in a larger radius. So obviously, again, adding more and more scorch to this, I really do enjoy the Prometheus lens. I really like trace rifles all in general, so this is definitely a favorite of mine. When it comes to the mods and armor you're gonna be using for this setup, first and foremost for your helmet, I recommend Solar Siphon so that you're able to get those orbs of power when using that Prometheus lens. And then just grab an just assets and hands-on. You could double up on the hands-on if you really wanted to, but again, I'm all about balance and using all of your abilities in a cohesive way. So I think Ashes to Assets is a solid one. Again, getting you that super energy back as fast as you humanly can so that you're able to get more of those blade barrages off. On our gauntlets, I recommend a momentum transfer and impact induction so that you have that yin yang effect so that your melee is helping your grenade cooldown, your grenade is helping your melee cooldown, and then obviously focusing strike so that we're able to get our class ability energy back faster when doing a melee attack. Chest piece, I just recommend, double concussive dampeners. Those are the most solid. And then I just put on harmonic resistance just to fill in that last spot. On our boots, recommend double absolution. And then if you have one more spot, unlike me, who I don't have these maxed out yet, but I would recommend getting a recuperation so that you're able to get a little bit of health back. And then finally, on our hunter cloak, get yourself a distribution. You can actually probably get 2 distributions. Again, I'm having to fill out all this in a certain way so that I'm able to get high discipline. So I'd probably say 2 distributions would be really good. And then finally a powerful attraction to get all those orbs of power from around the battlefield. You're not going to be really using much, again, as always, from your Acolyte staff artifact, but I would say if you were to, definitely grab that monochromatic Maestro so that dealing elemental ability damage increases your matching weapon damage, and elemental weapon damage increases matching ability damage. Bonus granted is 5% for 5 seconds. So you're just getting a little bit more damage out of it. Now, as always, I like to give recommendations on other weapons you can use for these different types of setups. First and foremost, Monte Carlo would be a solid one just because you're able to get that knife back almost instantaneously with different uses of it. But at the same time, I think you're able to get it back pretty dang fast already with how we have this build set up so that you can do just a little bit more damage instead. And if you were to do it from, the energy slot, Callus mini tool would be really great with incandescent, and then as well as in Akassi's dejection with incandescent. So anything with incandescent would be a really solid one just because of the fact that, it reads defeating a target spreads a longer lasting scorch to those nearby enemies. So really good one to use. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Again, I really like being able to play some Hunter. I actually had a lot of fun with this setup, so it was really cool. But yeah, make sure you're commenting down below stuff you're interested in seeing. All right. Make sure you're liking the video, subscribing to the channel, becoming a member, and follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, day, wherever it may be.